Ya, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan very good morning to all of you. So just to make sure, just to know that this group ini ketua kelasnya siapa ni? Grup U ni siapa ketua kelas? Who is group leader for this?
Iva, sir.
Ifa. Okay, Ifa dah masuk. Ifa has joined us or not?
Sudah masuk dari tapi katanya ada kendala jaring. She got a network problem.
Sudah join ke?
She already joined, sir.
Mana dia? Ifa, where are you? Can you respond to my questions, Ifa? Okay, kenapa Fakriyatul, kenapa angkat tangan? Why you raise your hand? Okay, never mind. I just want to ask who will record this class. Who is the coordinator for this class? Because Pak Ubaid doesn't join us, right? He got another meeting. So we need to get somebody to record and also record the attendance. So who will do that? Siapa yang jadi koordinator untuk sesi ini?
Sepertinya yang record dari ininya Pak, penyedia link Zoom-nya tadi.
Siapa?
Sepertinya yang record itu penyedia link Zoom-nya Pak.
Oh, siapa itu?
Ya, itu kan namanya FTPEJ.
Oh, okay. Dosen, dosen. Bukan, not a student, right?
Yes, Pak.
Okay. So never mind because this session will be shared with 2 more groups, right? So okay, I think we may start now. It's 10:20. We will finish by 12, right? Oh no, this is the Malaysian time. Sorry, your time is 9:20. So we'll finish by 11. Okay. So let me share the slide first. Okay, can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I have uploaded this slide into Google Classroom. So today we are going to cover 2 topics, and then next week or tomorrow I will decide later. We are going to cover another 3 topics. Okay, so the topic for our discussion today is land clearing and preparation, because if you recall, last 3 weeks, in the last 3 weeks we have discussed about the mechanization, the principle of mechanization, how to calculate field capacity, field efficiency, and then we have differentiate between tractors with different tire system, and then implement power transmission, right? And then on the second week we talk about mechanics, fundamental of mechanics. We study about force, work and power. Okay, so you now are able to calculate, to estimate. When you see a tractor, you know what is the horsepower is needed to pull any implement, and you already able to calculate the horsepower of implement. And we also understand that tractor, when it is operated on a certain surface, on certain condition, there will we call it traction loss happen due to soil condition, slippage, and etc. Okay, so now we are going to put those understanding into into practice when we have a land for planting, for cropping. So this is what we have to do. Okay. So today we are going to discuss about the procedure methods for land clearing and preparation. Okay. So again, I would like to recall this is example of sweet corn cultivation, typical field operation for sweet corn cultivation, but it is similar, more or less the same with other cropping system, because in the class I already told you that any crop, any plantation, they follow the same life cycle. They start with planting, the growing, crop care, harvesting, and the end it will be die off. Though we call it if this is a plantation crop, after a certain age, we will fall down, and then we call it replanting. We will plant a new crop. Okay, and for food crop, usually after harvesting, it will die, and then we will regrow. For example, rice, padi kan, padi. Lepas kita sudah we have harvest the yield, kita akan potong, kita akan tanam yang baru. The same thing with sweet corn. Okay, so bila kita tanam baru, we have to start with zero again. We have to go for land preparation again, right? To prepare the soil before we put a seed. Okay. So there are three important things related to soil when we do planting. The first one is land clearing. This is the very first one. And then after land has been cleared, kita sudah bersihkan kawasan, kita punya lahar, we have to go for land preparation. We have to prepare land preparation. They got two categories, primary tillage and then secondary tillage. After that, this is an optional. The third one is an optional. We call it land treatment or soil amendment. This is where we put lime ataupun kami panggil kapur untuk letak kapur, so that the pH of the soil will be neutral untuk acidic, tanah yang acidic. Okay. Okay, and then when the land is prepared, we can start with planting, cultivation, and then cultivation is another method of removing weeds. Kita panggil weeding. And then crop planting, after we have planted, we have to do maintenance to provide water, fertilizer, and pesticide. And then we just wait for harvesting. After the crop has been harvested, we repeat again. We can do again with land clearing. And then for the second time, land preparation is an optional. Okay, if the land is already okay, we may skip land preparation. They call it zero tillage concept. Okay, so we start with land clearing. Okay, let's say one day you become an field engineers to any company, any perusahaan. Okay, so for example, they say, okay, we have a new area. We want to grow corn. So as an engineer, what are you going to do? Okay. So number one, we have to identify what is the soil type. What is the jenis tanah, soil type for that particular area. So usually, typical type of agricultural land, tanah pertanian, tanah untuk growing crop, normally they are categorized into three categories. Number one is mineral soil, altisol. This is very common one for growing, laterite dan sebagainya. Yang kedua, swampy area. Kami panggil tanah bakau, pokok bakau di area near the sea, ocean, kawasan pantai. Okay. And then yang ketiga, peat soil, histosol. Peat soil ni tanah gambut. Ada tiga kategori. Okay. But the main soil type which is very suitable for agriculture ialah mineral soil, tanah mineral. Okay. Kemudian, when we want to do the land clearing, kita kena tengok pula, we have to look at what are components there. There are three category yang kita kena tengok. The first one is vegetation. What is the existing vegetation in that particular area? Kan, you got a new area, new lahar. You have to clean the area. So before you start the cleaning, you bring in your machine, your bulldozer. You tengok dulu apakah what type of vegetation, apakah jenis pokok-pokok yang ada di situ. Okay, adakah ianya lalang or pokok bush or pokok-pokok berkayu, wooden crop. Okay, then number 2, you have to assess what is the topography. Topography mean ialah surface, bentuk muka bumi, topografi. Adakah ianya hilly ataupun lembah dan sebagainya. Look at that, because if hilly area, then you have to decide either your tractor can be used or not. Later we will discuss. And then the methods, method for the clearing. How are you going to clean the area? Are you going to use bulldozer? Are you going to use JCB? Are you going to use parang, pisau, machete, or what? Are you going to burn down? Okay, we look at that. Okay, next. Okay, when we talk about vegetation, we call it existing vegetation ataupun tumbuhan yang ada di situ sebelum kita masuk, before we clear the land. Okay, the first one we have, the first category is a primary forest. Ini maknanya hutan asal. Okay, virgin environment where tree stem diameter is bigger than 1 meter, high plant density. For example, primary forest ni kalau kebanyakannya berada di Borneo, di Sabah, Sarawak ataupun di Kalimantan, they got a lot of forest, primary forest, maknanya hutan asal ataupun kami panggil hutan dara, virgin environment. Pokok maknanya hutan yang belum ditebang, diambil balaknya, diambil kayunya, rubber. Okay, timber. Okay, that is the primary one, ataupun reserve forest. Okay, number 2, look at secondary forest. Maknanya tanah ataupun hutan yang sebelumnya pernah diambil dia punya logging timber, dan tapi ditanam semula. That is what we call secondary forest. Okay, previously managed maknanya dah ada berlaku penebangan pokok balak and then cultivated, lodge. Okay, dan dia punya diameter of the tree is smaller. Okay, middle plant density. And then number 3, the third category is bush. Bush ini dalam bahasa Melayu kami panggil belukar. Maknanya pokok-pokok renek, pokok-pokok rendah, shorter trees. Tapi we call it bush. You can Google. I'm not sure what you call that in Indonesia, but this is small tree. Small tree is about 3 meters high, and then the density is quite high. Okay, belukar. Okay, yang ketiga, wild grass ataupun imperata. Ini yang ketiga, contoh gambarnya yang ni. Maknanya sesuatu kawasan apabila kita tinggal lama, dia akan tumbuh lalang. Wild grass itu merujuk kepada lalang, lalang ataupun pokok semalu, mimosa, pudina, something, pokok-pokok gitulah. You know what I mean, right? And then number 3 ataupun number 5 is conversion area. Conversion area is quite common, meaning that katalah sesuatu kawasan itu previously it was planted with rubber ataupun you all panggil karet kan, this is rubber tree, but after some time the management decide, okay, we don't want to grow rubber anymore. They do clearing, lepas tu they grow oil palm, for example, or katalah sebelum ini di kawasan ini ditanam padi, kemudian they don't want padi anymore, they want to grow sweet corn. That is what we call conversion area. Okay, all right. You may interrupt me at any time if you have problem. Okay, so look at how this is about the method. Macam mana kita mahu membersihkan, do the forest clearing untuk different type of vegetation. Okay, if you talk about forest, the first photo selalunya kita akan guna slashing. Slashing ni kalau bahasa Malaysia dipanggil menebas. You guna satu pisau, satu parang ataupun golok. Saya dengar I heard bahasa tu saya pernah tanya, you kata golok kan. So we have use that kind of thing, kita slash kalau pokok besar kita kat ini kita guna sorry, disconnected ke? Are you following me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tadi disconnected ya?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay, how about this slide? Has been discussed? Slide ini sempat ke I have to repeat? This slide or previous slide?
Ya tadi di slide ini masih ada kok, sir.
Di sini ya. Okay. So I continue with forest. Tadi dah bincang forest. Now we talk about bush. Bush ini merujuk kepada pokok-pokok kecil. Jadi because pokok kecil kita tak guna chainsaw. Okay. You know that dekat cutting dia guna chainsaw. Jadi kalau forest pokok besar we use chainsaw to fell the crop to down. But for bush we don't have to use chainsaw, kita guna parang lah. I think in your language you call it golok, right? It's a knife, long knife. Nanti I show you the picture of it. Okay. Kemudian for imperata ataupun pokok lalang, pokok semak, ini kita boleh guna either slashing ataupun spraying, guna chemical, guna racun. We spray herbicide. It is possible. Kalau you go for slashing mean it's not necessarily guna parang, tapi boleh guna tractor. A certain tractor we can put implement, dipanggil roto slasher. Macam yang apa? Potong rumput di pada sekolah tu. Dia implement, pull by tractor, we call it roto slasher. And then plowing. Plowing ni is a land preparation. Okay, we can use this plow ataupun we can use rotavator untuk to kill this imperata. Okay, harrowing is also kind of land preparation. Land preparation untuk nak remove all the wild grass punya residue from the land. Okay, so now conversion involve cutting because this is wooden crop, so you kena guna chainsaw. And then ham digging. Why ham digging? Because you are going to grow a new crop here. Okay, jadi ham digging ni maknanya tunggul. Kami panggil tunggul ataupun akar. Bahagian akar pokok asal ini must be removed. Kalau tidak, apa jadi? Dia akan regrow. Kan? Pokok ni kalau kita tak buang sampai akar, nanti dia akan tumbuh pucuk baru. Dia akan disturb new crop lah. So that's why kalau kita go for conversion, we really have to remove everything. Okay, piling and cleaning. Okay, that is common. Okay. So topografi, bentuk muka bumi. Okay, kita kena tengok, we have to observe because if that area is too hilly, berbukitnya terlalu steep, then it's not suitable for us to use machinery. Okay, so if the topography gradient, this is slope of the hill. Kalau slope-nya 0 hingga 3%, we consider flat. A very nice area, and this is very suitable for growing rice, padi ataupun jagung ke whatsoever. Tapi tanahnya adalah flat. Okay. And then kalau dia punya gradient ataupun slope-nya 4 hingga 8%, we call it slightly undulating, but still okay kalau kita nak tanam jagung ya. And then 9/15, This is undulating. Maybe kalau pokok kelapa sawit, oil palm is suitable. Okay. Kalau padi tak sesuai. Okay. And then 16 to 25% ini dah dikira rolling. Ini dah kira rolling, dah mula bahaya. And then 26 to 45 we call it steep. And then above 45 degree is very steep. And then machinery cannot go in. Okay. So if you want to use bulldozer, ini contohnya bulldozer, you have to make sure dia punya slope itu less than 15. Okay, maknanya penggunaan bulldozer sesuai untuk area undulating. Tapi kalau for steep area, is not suitable. So what happen? If you want to use bulldozer for this area, you have to do terrace. Nanti I show you picture. Kita kena buat terrace dulu. Okay. So if the area is too slope, too steep, what we have to do, kita tak boleh guna bulldozer, tapi kita boleh masuk, kita boleh guna chainsaw. Okay. Pemotong kayu lah, chainsaw, right? Jadi there is a risk. Apa keburukan, apa yang pertama is compaction lah, anak akan diguna berat. Yang kedua topsoil, permukaan ini akan mengalami hilang kubur. Adalah dia ada teknik zero burning, tak benarkan bakar. When I was kuat akan bakar. Sekarang sudah tidak dibenarkan. Okay. Jadi forest area ataupun bush, maka kita boleh guna manual. Manual maknanya guna orang lah, guna pekerja, bawa pisau, bawa golok, potong. Okay. Ataupun chainsaw. Mechanical refer to tractors, use bulldozer, JCB or etc. lah. Okay. Kalau imperata, either use tractor ataupun we use sprayer chemical, guna herbicide, herbicide. Okay. Okay, land clearing depends lah. Kalau manual kita boleh guna kapak lah, guna chainsaw dan guna sword ni ataupun parang ataupun pisau lah. Kalau mechanical, either you use bulldozer, excavator or JCB. Okay. Tapi the weakness of using heavy machinery, dia ada risiko dia topsoil. Kita akan hilang topsoil is spilled due to work of pushing on piling the stem and soil compaction. Dua risiko. Two risks of using heavy machine is a topsoil loss dan juga soil compaction. Okay. Untuk chemical, let's say you decide you want to clear the land of imperata using chemical. Okay, so herbicide. Herbicide, dia ada dua jenis. There are two types of herbicide. The first one kita panggil systemic ataupun nama dia glyphosate group. Ini contoh dia ni. Dua tong ni, this photo and this photo shows a glyphosate group. Okay, I think you are familiar with it. So herbicide is absorbed and translocated to target part. Maknanya when we use this type of herbicide, bila racun terkena pokok, racun itu akan diserap. Okay, will be absorbed, diserap oleh pokok dan terus dihantar ke root zone. Jadi root zone akan mati. Bila root zone mati, automatically pokok pun akan mati. Okay. Yang kedua, kontak, jenis kontak ataupun paraquat. Ini contoh dia, I think you have heard this. So paraquat ni pula apa berlaku? Bila dia tersentuh dengan daun, daun terus melecur, terus mati, terus kering. Itu beza dia kontak dengan systemic. Okay, so make sure before spraying, we have to check the weather before and after spraying. The weather affect the effectiveness of herbicide application. Jadi kalau you meracun jam 9, jam 10 hujan, what happen? Your racun itu is wash out by rain. So maybe you kena racun balik, racun semula, ataupun you meracun, hujan berhenti jam 9, you meracun jam 10 pun mungkin tak efektif kerana di daun itu masih ada air, masih ada air hujan. So apa berlaku, you punya racun itu akan dilute bersama air hujan. So we have to choose the right time for spraying. Okay, so must be on right kinds. Again, kena beli racun yang sesuai, kena bancuh. You have to mix fertilizer with the right concentration, right dosage, ikut recommendation, right time, usually in the morning. Kita boleh buat meracun early in the morning ataupun petang, di mana di waktu yang tidak ada angin, not windy condition. Then right procedure or method. Then make sure when you do spraying, you put on PPE, personal protective equipment. Okay, because racun ni is hazardous to human body. Okay, time of land clearing. Okay, masa untuk buat land clearing juga kena pilih, kena tengok. Kita tidak boleh buat land clearing, especially pembakaran pada dry season. If you do land clearing during dry season, make sure you do not smoke. Avoid smoking. Okay, avoid smoking, and then jangan buang cigarette butt. Ini yang berlaku di Bromo kan. Bromo punya Gunung Bromo hari itu was get fired because of crackers kan lah, dia panggil mercun kan. So make sure we can do land preparation, land clearing during dry season, but avoid fire, because kalau ada fire during kemarau, dry season, dia akan may cause bushfire. And then another problems for rainy season. Okay, rainy season, this is the problem. Bila kita buat land clearing masa hujan, tanah itu akan becak, tanah itu akan basah, traktor akan sangkut, so lower work productivity and difficult for us to operate heavy machine. Okay. And then what is this? This is about land clearing. Katalah one day you buat land clearing, you finish land clearing by March, bulan 3, tapi you nak tanam bulan 8, bulan Agustus kan. So maknanya you have 5 months in different. So if you leave the area unplanted, what happen? Nanti pokok-pokok lalang, bush ataupun imprata akan tumbuh. So in that case, what you can do, you boleh tanam dulu, we call it LCC, legume cover crop for temporary. Because if you put LCC, the legume cover crop, the good thing is this crop can preserve moisture content of the water of the soil, dan juga dia boleh increase nitrogen level, because pokok-pokok LCC ni dia attract nitrogen, maknanya dia akan mengembalikan kesuburan tanah, soil fertility. Okay, then also if you leave the soil tanpa pokok, apa yang berlaku, dia akan meningkatkan erosion. Okay, all the good particles on the soil surface akan will be eroded lah by wind ataupun by hujan, by rain. So also risk compaction, and then surface runoff increase. So kita kena tanam something. Okay, ini pula preparation if you want to do land clearing on swampy area, di kawasan bakau contohnya. So the first thing is we have to make sure the depth of the swamp. Kalau pokoknya, kalau paya, I call it paya, I'm not sure in Indonesia, kalau payanya terlalu dalam, forget it. No crop can grow in the area. Tapi kalau payanya itu cetek, narrow, okay, shallow, we call it shallow, then kita boleh tanam tanaman dengan cara kita control water level. Okay, so look at the vegetation. Kalau di kawasan swampy itu ada drainage, meaning that we can control water level ataupun water table. So okay, you can grow something. Okay, so land drain out, quickly drain, itu kita boleh control. Okay, kita boleh buat parit, drainage, ataupun kita boleh guna pump untuk remove out water. Tapi kalau no drainage, so no land clearing, no planting, no point to grow something, because If you grow any crops in inundated area, apa yang berlaku? Dia punya waterlogged palm, maknanya pokok terbenam, pokok tu akan mati ya, rotten fruit dan juga stunted growth. Okay. Okay. This is method cara kaedah kalau kita nak buat land clearing di tanah berpaya, we call it tanah paya. Number 1, we have to build road construction first. So if you can build the road, that means that area can be built, can be developed. Okay, but if there is no way for you to build the road, that means that area has no way to be developed. That is the rule. So kalau kita mau bangunkan sesuatu kawasan, make sure kita boleh bangunkan jalan dahulu ya. Kalau boleh bina jalan, meaning the area can be developed. Okay. Number 2, forest cutting and felling. So bila dah ada jalan, maka kita boleh buat forest cutting and felling. Land clearing lah, ada buat land clearing. Kemudian number 3, what we have to do is to build drainage. Drainage waterway construction. This is important for us to control water level ataupun water table. Okay, dalam tanah, I think you have studied about that, right? Water table. Okay, so in engineering, basically there are 3 category of drainage waterway. DW, kita ada primary, secondary, tertiary. Okay, tertiary. Jadi apa yang berbeza ialah dia punya size. Okay, kalau yang primary, dia punya width tu lebar, lebar parit atau kita panggil longkang itu besar, 3 hingga 6 meter bergantung. Dan then tertiary 1 hingga 2, secondary 1.8. Dan dia upper width dengan lower width tak sama, maknanya bahagian atas lagi besar daripada bahagian bawah. Kenapa? Because we want to increase the current. You remember the formula Q A times V, right? Bila area tu besar, maka arusnya slow. Bila area kecil, arus dia laju. Because kita nak supaya arus di bawah lebih laju daripada arus di atas. Okay. Depth juga, kedalaman parit juga bergantung. Okay. Selalunya what happen? Tertiary akan bersambung ke secondary. Secondary akan bersambung ke primary. Dan primary akan bawa air tu ke sungai. Okay, ke sungai lah ataupun stream. Okay, tadi swampy area. Now kita tengok pula macam mana, how are we going to build ataupun how are we going to do land clearing untuk peat soil, tanah gambut. Okay, peat soil nama lain dia ialah histosol. Okay, apa definisi dia? Peat soil ialah soil which has majority compost. That's why dia panggil compost, tanah gambut ya. Sebab dia parti elemen tanahnya berkurang, less. Yang banyaknya ialah organic material. Meaning that sisa-sisa tumbuhan yang sebelumnya. Pokok-pokok ataupun daun-daun ataupun bahan inilah biomaterial yang telah mereput, yang telah decomposted, dia membentuk satu lapisan. Okay. Jadi C organiknya tinggi, karbon organiknya tinggi, more than 25%, dan organic materialnya tebal, maybe more than 40 cm. Okay. Saya pernah jumpa satu kawasan di Sarawak. Di Sarawak dia tanam sagu. Sagu. So I work in that project. One day we went to the field and then suddenly the officer stopped. Dia kata stop, don't go further. I said why? Because this is peat area dan peatnya adalah sedalam 2 meter. 2 meter. That means if I step in that area, saya boleh terbenam, boleh tenggelam. Dia punya organic materialnya terlalu tinggi. Okay. So what we can do? The first, kita kena build boundary channel surrounding area. Boundary channel mean ialah drainage, parit. Kami panggil parit ataupun sungai ataupun tali air. Ini contohnya. This is kita kena build boundary channel supaya water level boleh kita regulated, can be regulated. Kemudian bila dah bina air dah mengalir, kita boleh mulakan forest clearing. Kemudian kita build drainage daripada area ni, daripada inside area kita buat parit, parit menghala ke boundary, menghala ke sungai ni. And then construction road and bridge. This is important for communication, connection, access, accessibility. Kemudian kita kena compact tanah di mana kita nak tanam. Kita kena buat soil compaction. Okay. This is a characteristic of peat. Sifat-sifat tanah gambut lah. So selalunya warnanya dark brown, bergantung kepada maturity level. Water content tinggi, porosity juga tinggi, low bulk density, dia ringan berbanding tanah biasa, bad drainage. Maknanya air tu dia bertakung. Okay, dia tak senang mengalir. Easy drying, tapi dia senang kering. Bila panas saja dia kering. Ini yang senang terbakar. Paya gambut ni dia senang terbakar. Because dia ada methane. So irreversible shrinkage and then hydrophobic. Maknanya dia tak suka air. Dia tak suka air. And subsidence. Subsidence ni maknanya dia boleh menyebabkan tanah jerlus. Kan you have watched movie, right? Bila somebody berjalan di kawasan tanah peat, tiba-tiba dia tenggelam. Terbenam, slowly terbenam. That is what we call subsidence. Tanah jerlus. Okay. Okay. So, for peat soil, kita build a boundary channel. This is boundary channel, maknanya tali air. Kami panggil tali air as a boundary, sebagai sempadan for the area which will be reclaimed. So, build 1 year before cutting the tree. So, kena buat benda ni awal, so that all the water tu kita boleh tengok lah, dia mengalir ke dalam water level ni lah. Then size, this is a standard. Atas ni 4 meter, di bawah 3 meter, kedalaman pun dalam 2 hingga 3 meter. So the function of this water channel as a groundwater table regulator, meaning it is to control water level, paras air di permukaan, di kawasan tanaman. Okay, this is semua ni oil palm, a picture of oil palm plantation. Okay, come back to peat soil. Forest clearing, okay, kita sama. Okay, ini yang saya sebut tadi. Saya panggil parang. Bahasa Malaysia dia panggil parang. Ataupun I thought in your language you panggil golok. Ini in English they call it machete. Machete ataupun long sword lah. Padang. Apa ni? Pedang. Tapi kita panggil parang kan. Untuk potong pokok for slashing. This is chainsaw. Ini kapak. This is axe. Kapak. Okay. Okay, sama juga untuk peat soil, dia kalau berair dia sama dengan swampy, kena buat parit. We have to build a drainage. So on peat soil, water management system is very important to manage water table height, ketinggian aras air dalam tanah. Okay. Tertiary channel, ini yang paling, nanti ada gambar dia. This is to flow water to secondary drain. Function dia to catch water from pump area ataupun dalam kawasan penanaman. Terpulanglah. If we grow corn, maknanya to catch water from cornfield. Okay. So the distance between two of tertiary drain depend on drainage condition. Jadi kalau air itu terlalu banyak, maka channel ni perlu lebih banyak. Tapi kalau airnya tak banyak, mungkin the number, bilangan of the drain, of the channel can be reduced, depending on the area lah. Okay. Construction the road, kena bina jalan, road foundation taken from digging of soil mineral, soil is compacted with excavator. Maknanya, when we want to build a road, pada kawasan peat soil ini, dia tak boleh bina menggunakan tanah peat soil. Jadi what happen, kita kena ambil tanah daripada tempat lain, tanah mineral dan juga gravel. Gravel ni batu, tanah batu dan tanah pasir, kena bawa dengan trailer, lori, and then kita kena bawa tanah tu daripada tempat lain, dump di situ untuk kita bina road. That is the challenge je lah. Compaction, dia kena compact letakkan dia supaya dia kukuh, dia strong. Okay, tapi kalau if we don't want to build road, kita boleh juga build a mini rail. Boleh juga jalan kereta atau yang tidak we can go for kalau kita boleh sorry ya, disconnected again. Okay, let we continue. Okay, tadinya berhenti stop di mana? Di sini ke ataupun slide sebelum? Where did we stop before?
Sebelumnya, Mister.
Sebelumnya. Okay. This slide, right?
Iya,
Okay, yang ni sudah selesai ataupun terputus?
terputus tadi.
Terputus di sini. Okay. So this slide is about kalau we have three options. The first one, we go for road construction. Okay, caranya ialah kita perlu buat road foundation di kawasan pit soil itu, dan kita perlu ambil tanah. We have to take soil, mineral soil, termasuk dia punya gravel, batu-batu itu, batu putih itu diambil daripada tempatnya lain. We take from another place and then kita dump di situ dan kita buat road construction because tanah mineral dia kukuh, dia strong. Kalau tanah pit dia tak strong, that's why kita kena ambil tanah lain. That is the first choice. Pilihan kedua, kalau it is not possible for us to build the road, what we can do, kita boleh bina rail line, rail train for fruit transport. Atau means kita buat rail line ataupun jalan kereta api. Yang ketiga, kalau road tak boleh, jalan kereta api tak boleh, the last choice is we go for boat. Kita guna boat ataupun perahu to transport the yield. Tiga option yang possible lah. Okay. These photos shows the compaction. Compaction. You tengok gambar ini. Ini contohnya rumah yang dibina di atas permukaan yang tidak melalui compaction. So kelamaan apa yang berlaku, rumahnya akan condong, akan incline, akan leaning. Akan begitu juga dengan pokok. Kalau kita tanam pokok atas permukaan yang lembut, lama-lama pokok itu akan condong dan akan tumbang. Tapi kalau kita dah mampatkan tanah, dia akan jadi strong, strong and sturdy. So ini contohnya steamroller yang kita guna, can be used for soil compaction. Ini pun adalah hammer, mechanical hammer untuk kita buat soil compaction. That is the purpose of mechanical compaction. Okay, when we are ready for planting. Okay, tadi kita dah buat land clearing, for land preparation. Dia ada dua jenis tanaman lah. Kalau food crop, kita perlu roto. Kita perlu buat plowing, kita perlu buat disc plow, kita perlu guna rotovator. But if you talk about commodity crop, pokok-pokok yang berkayu, contohnya oil palm, koko, kakao dan juga getah, yang itu kita tak perlu plow. Kita tanam seedling, kita tanam polybag. Okay? Tapi untuk tanam dia, kita kena buat blocking. Means kita kena buat boundary. We have to divide our land into block, a few blocks. Okay? Kemudian kita kena tanam ikut jarak. As I told you, kalau kelapa sawit, oil palm, dia punya crop density ialah 140 pokok per hektar. Jadi kita kena buat satu susunan lah bagaimana jarak antara setiap tanaman. Kemudian kita gali, digging planting hole. Ini kita guna post hole digger. Okay. Bila dah gali, kita akan tanam dengan polybag. Because seedling, anak pokok berada dalam polybag. So kita akan tanam. Dan yang keempat, establishing cover crop. Why? Supaya to retain moisture content of the area. Okay. So dalam pokok berkayu, block is an unique area of palm that supervised by one supervisor. So you imagine di Malaysia contohnya kelapa sawit ini sangat besar 500 juta hektar. Okay. Dan sesuatu kawasan dia akan ada beribu hektar. Jadi how they manage the area is they divided that big area into smaller block. Blok-blok yang kecil, petak kita panggil petak-petak yang kecil. So basically satu petak, satu blok seluas 25 hingga 30 hektar. Okay. Dan satu supervisor akan menjaga kawasan seluas ini. So each block is bordered by a block roads, and then block numbering generally start from east to west. This is management lah. So meaning you can imagine one supervisor dekat sawah, dekat oil palm, dia harus menjaga 30 hektar kawasan. Very big, right? Very big responsibility. Okay. Okay, di sini I want to show you how to measure worker requirement for land clearing and forest. So you tengok di sini this is MD. What does it mean by MD? MD ialah man day per hektar. Maknanya berapa orang man diperlukan untuk kerja sehari, okay, untuk melakukan kerja sehektar. So kita define day ni ialah 8 jam. It's a standard working hours 8 jam ataupun 6 jam. Okay. So how to read? Macam mana nak baca table ni? Okay, contohnya slashing. Okay, slashing untuk menebas kita perlukan 27 orang sehari untuk menebas seluas 1 hektar. Itu maksud dia. Okay. Manakala for secondary forest, we need less manpower. Okay, kalau primary forest, kita perlu 27 orang sehari untuk kita bersihkan seluas 1 hektar. Tapi kalau secondary forest, we only need 17 manpower. 17 orang, 17 pekerja sehari untuk membersihkan 1 hektar kawasan. Itu cara nak baca table. Okay. Then you tengok di sini OH. Okay. MD is man day. OH merujuk kepada operating hour. This is for machine. Trees cutting and felling. Ini guna machine. Bila guna machine, kita tukar kepada operating hour. Berapa jam sesuatu machine bekerja. untuk membersihkan 1 hektar kawasan. Meaning kalau kita guna this machine, tree cutting machine, kita perlukan 14 jam. 14 jam untuk bersihkan 1 hektar kawasan. Okay, that is how to read that table. Okay, ini contoh blok. Tadi kita bincang blok. 1 blok is about 30 hectares, right? So how do they divide? The first one, dia akan ada main road. Ini jalan utama. Jalan utama ni mungkin berturak. Okay, daripada setiap main road, dia akan ada simpang, ada cabang untuk ke production road ataupun kita panggil secondary road. Ni secondary road ni dia lebih kecil daripada main road. Okay, kemudian production road ini pula disambungkan dengan collection road. Collection road ini kita panggil tertiary road. Ini jalan ketiga. Jalan ketiga akan disambungkan dengan jalan kedua. Jalan kedua disambungkan dengan main road. This is how they work. This is contohnya oil palm. Tapi the same thing lah. Tanaman-tanaman lain juga. Dia akan ada jalan ladang, jalan maintenance road dan juga main road. Collection road, production road, main road. Okay. The same thing with swampy area ataupun pit area. Dia kena ada main channel, ini sungai utama. Okay, sungai utama, ini parit. This is the tertiary drain ataupun parit. We call it parit. You tengok selang-seli, pokok. Sebelah-sebelah pokok. Ini pokok sawit. Okay, 2 pokok sawit. Setiap pokok sawit di sebelahnya mesti ada parit. Mesti ada drain. So this tertiary drain, dia mengalirkan air ke secondary drain. Secondary drain akan mengalirkan ke secondary, this is secondary drain, dan secondary akan hantar ke main drain. So this is tertiary, secondary, and then main drain. Then daripada main drain akan pergi ke sungai, ke mainstream kita panggil. Okay, itu cara nak design plot. Okay, alright. Now tadi saya kata kalau bulldozer, if you want to work more than 15 degrees, you tak boleh guna dia direct, kecuali kita bina dulu terrace. This is terrace. Okay, so this is individual terrace. You see ini bukit. This is bukit, this is terrace. Okay, ini adalah cara untuk bina terrace, individual terrace. Meaning that you look at my cursor, contohnya di sini. This is kita panggil terrace. Ini bukit. Bukit telah dipotong tepinya, di teres, diparas, telah diparas. Okay, how they build this paras ialah, you imagine, asalnya bukit ini akan bercondong macam ni. The same thing with this one. Okay, you look my cursor, bukit ini tepinya dia akan condong macam ni. Okay, like this, yang dia black line. Okay, what happen apabila kita nak bina teres, kita akan potong bahagian dalam ni. Okay, kita potong bahagian sini, cut and fill. Kita potong guna JCB, ya, bahagian ini kita akan letakkan di sini. Okay, potong this area, put in this area. So now what happen? Condongnya itu telah bertukar, daripada condong ke arah luar, sekarang dia akan jadi macam ni. Okay, dia akan condong ke arah dalam. Okay, so bila condong ke arah dalam, risiko traktor untuk jatuh ke bawah sudah berkurang. Okay, tapi apabila teres ini condong ke dalam, what does it mean? Air akan mengalir ke dalam. Okay, so apa yang perlu ialah mereka akan buat parit ataupun drain ataupun laluan air di tepi ini supaya air tidak mengalir melintasi jalan. Okay, itu that is how terrace is built. So lebar, selalunya lebar ini untuk kelapa sawit, ya. Lebar jalan ini selalunya 4 meter. You tengok 2 meter, 2 meter, because lebar traktor usually 2 meter. So just fine untuk traktor lalu kawasan ini. Cuma caranya macam ni. Dia panggil cut and fill. Bukit yang condong, dia potong separuh, yang belah sini dia letak kat sini. So dia akan dia dah condong ke dalam. Okay. And then dia akan bina ditch. Ditch ini maknanya parit ataupun laluan air, untuk mengalirkan air. Okay. Ini Okay, tadi kita sebut topsoil, right? Organic layer. Okay, you remember kalau peat soil, dia punya organic layer ni terlalu tebal, boleh mencapai 40 cm, right? So this is the area yang ada organic. Di bawah organic ini dia ada topsoil, dia ada subsoil, dia ada paramaterial, dia ada bedrock. Kan in between ini dia ada hard pan. Okay. Jadi apabila kita nak tanam oil palm dalam polybag, kita kena gali parit, kita akan gali lubang, right? Digging a hole. So what happen? First kita akan gali, kita akan jumpa topsoil, right? Kata let's say kita nak gali lubang di sini. So bila kita gali, first topsoil. So topsoil kita kena ambil, kita kena gali, letak dia satu sudut, satu one side. Kemudian kita gali further down, subsoil, kita ambil letak sebelah sini. Then bila dah ada lubang, kita akan masukkan seedling. Okay. Bila seedling dah letak, okay, cara nak letakkan tanah, kita kena letak topsoil dulu. Kan? Tadi yang keluar, topsoil keluar dulu. Subsoil keluar kemudian. So by right kena masuk subsoil dulu. Tapi tak. Untuk tanam seedling, lepas sudah letak, dah gali lubang, dah letak seedling, we have to put topsoil dulu. Reason why? Supaya pokok ataupun tanah yang subur ini boleh diserap oleh akar pokok. Itu cara dia. And then barulah kita masuk subsoil. Okay, that is the technique untuk tanam polybag. Okay. Okay, now kita go for land preparation. Okay, tadi we have prepared land clearing. Now we go for land preparation. So land preparation dalam bahasa lain kita panggil tillage. Okay, tillage ataupun soil manipulation. This is referring to the same thing lah. So tillage is an operation that requires some kind of tools. Toolnya di sini ialah implement lah. Either this plow, moldboard plow ataupun rotavator. Okay. For physical manipulation of soil and plant material, contohnya cutting, turning, stirring off, uprooting dan sebagainya. Okay. So reason for tillage, provide suitable environment for seed germination. That's number one. Number two, to destroy weed. Okay, bila kita buat land preparation, we destroy weeds, right? So incorporate and amend crop residue into the soil. So especially bila kita buat meracun dulu ataupun kita land clearing kan, dia ada pokok-pokok lalang residu tu yang akan mati. So bila kita do tillage, dia akan mix up, dia akan termasuk dalam tanah. Okay, and then conserve soil moisture by increase water infiltration rate and reduce water evaporation rate. Why? How this happen? Because when we do plowing, tanah itu akan pecah. Tanah akan pecah, dia akan berketul-ketul, dia akan chunky, dia akan besar berketul. So bila berlaku hujan, air akan bertakung. Air akan bertakung di celah-celah tanah tu. So maknanya dia akan dia tak ada run off, dia akan meresap masuk ke dalam tanah. That is the beauty of tillage for soil moisture conservation. And then facilitate root penetration by loosening the soil and breaking the hard pan, because tanah after we do rotavator, dia akan hancur, dia akan jadi granular, so easy for seed untuk nak germinate. And then control soil erosion by slowing surface water flow velocity and increase water infiltration. Alright. Okay, what is a desirable characteristic of seedbed? Seedbed ini ialah lapisan yang kita tanam benih. For example, kalau jagung, seedbednya ialah 5 cm. 5 cm below the ground level. Itu kawasan yang ada banyak kompos tadi, organic materials. That is our seedbed. So seedbed ini mesti weed free soil, meaning that after kita plow, there must be no more weeds. Lalang, lalang tak boleh ada. Because lalang ni, kalau dia ada, dia akan mencuri. It will steal nutrient, baja yang kita beri kepada pokok jagung tadi. Contoh. Okay. So weed-free soil which prevent the loss of precious water and plant nutrient to weeds. Okay, we don't want weeds because we want all the nutrient and water supply is absorbed by our crop. Okay, so granular soil structure which allow close contact of the seed and to the plant roots, meaning that bila tanah tu halus, semua permukaan benih dia bersentuh dengan tanah, dia tidak ada ruang kosong. Okay, soil free of compacted layers which reduce air and water penetration. Jadi tanah yang telah diplau dia akan jadi loose. Okay, so dia akan menyenangkan to make easy for water and air to be absorbed ataupun to penetrate into root zone. Okay, so level soil surface to facilitate planting the seed at uniform depth and emergence of paddy seed. So for paddy plantation, the soil leveling is very important. Okay, kalau tidak pokoknya itu akan ada yang matilah because water level. You kena ingat pokok padi dia akan tumbuh secara sekata. Bila tanahnya tak sama, so akan ada pokok yang masih tenggelam, ada anak pokok yang telah melepasi paras air, water level. Okay, so tillage is a manipulation of plant material into soil, which will result in increased soil fertility. Meaning apabila kita mix up seed residue, tadi katalah ada imperata tadi kita guna rotavator, so dia punya lalang yang dah kering yang dah mati tu, bila kita roto dia mix dengan tanah, dia akan memberikan nutrient, soil fertility, increase water penetration dan juga enhance soil microbial activity. This is kita panggil organic material. This is very good. So tillage operation has to be done at proper time again. Okay, so when we decide to do tillage, we have to choose the right time. If we do tillage during wet tillage, tanah kita akan hadapi masalah because tanah tu akan jadi lumpy dan juga besar, ketulannya besar. Dan juga what happen if you remember our class, slippage-nya akan meningkat. Jadi losses-nya akan meningkat. Okay, tapi kalau we harvest, we plow during dry season, during tillage make it too fine, dia akan jadi berdebu, dusty. Bila kita buat rotavator, kita akan nampak debu putih. Debu putih. Di kawasan because it is to So sorry, disconnected again. Okay, I think it will be better now because I changed from my hotspot to Wi-Fi. Okay, okay, let us continue. Okay, where did we stop? This slide or before? A slide before this one.
Before slide-nya, Mister.
Before this one. This one done?
Bukan.
Okay, this one done. So we start from here. Okay. So tillage can be divided into two categories. The first one we call it primary tillage. The second one is secondary tillage. So primary tillage usually is the initial or major soil working operation normally designed to reduce soil strength, cover plant material, and rearrange aggregate. Contohnya, apabila kita dapat sesuatu kawasan, new plot, new area, so the tanah, the soil at that particular time is still undisturbed. Kita panggil tanah belum disturbed, belum diganggu. So dia masih macam like is macam padang bola, macam sekeping. Okay. So primary tillage, the purpose of primary tillage is to break. Okay, you imagine this plow. So this plow, bila kita guna, dia akan pecahkan that surface soil layer into chunk, soil chunky kepada ketulan-ketulan tanah. That is a primary tillage. Okay, so basic primary tillage yang kita guna untuk primary tillage usually moldboard plow, disc plow, heavy duty disc, and etc. Okay. While secondary tillage pula ialah is any tillage operation that follows primary tillage. Meaning, after we do primary tillage, we go for secondary tillage. Kalau primary tillage tadi, dia pecahkan tanah kepada ketulan-ketulan yang besar, seketul. So, secondary tillage is where that ketulan tanah yang besar Okay, sorry, it disconnected again because I am at home today. Actually, in Malaysia, it's public holiday today because there is what we call it Deepavali. It's a festival for Hindu. So my home internet is not very stable. Okay, by the way, let us continue. Who is the host now? Can you allow me to share the slide? Anyone? Who is the host? I cannot share the slide. Ifa ada Ifa. Are you the host?
Bukan, Pak.
Okay, can you let FTP AGR know that I cannot share my slide because I cannot share the slide. They have to allow me to share the slide.
I will do confirmation terlebih dahulu, Pak.
Okay, okay. Mhm. So macam mana Ifa dah contact ke? It's being confirmed the host holding the Zoom. So can you ask him to allow me to share the slide? I cannot share the slide. Okay, now okay. All right. It's allowed already. Okay. So we continue. By what time we have to stop?
Secondary TV.
No. What time we have to stop?
11.10.
11.10.
Ya.
Okay, so lagi 40 minit ya. Sebelas 10 ke atau 10.50?
Sorry, Mister. 11.00.
11, okay. Okay, so tadi kita stop di primary tillage ya. I told you there are two types. I think I have explained that. Primary tillage is where we want to break the soil, the initial soil, tanah yang awal. Kita contohnya macam padang bola ya. Kita nak pecahkan tanah itu, first kita akan masuk this plow. We call it primary tillage, where we will break the soil into chunky size kepada ketulan-ketulan tanah yang besar dalam 30 cm contohnya. And then alat equipment yang kita boleh guna ialah usually is small box plow, disc plow, subsoiler and etc. Okay, then apabila tanah telah dipecahkan kepada ketulan-ketulan yang besar tadi, what is next is to break that. Untuk kita hancurkan lagi tanah yang besar itu kepada granular size soil. So during that time, what we need is kita perlukan rotavator. That is what we call secondary tillage. Okay, so secondary tillage is any tillage operation that follow primary tillage, okay, and involving operation at comparatively shallow depth. Jadi kalau primary tillage, this plow boleh go up 30 cm, tapi secondary tillage it go up to only 10 cm, 5 to 10 cm, and then the main intention is to refine soil size into granular size, so that we have a proper seed bed preparation. Okay. So the equipment for secondary tillage is usually the most common one is cultivators ataupun rotavators. Okay, this harrow and a few more. But for Malaysian context, usually we go for a rotavator, especially for rice, for padi. Okay. Okay, next, this is the objective of primary tillage. Primary tillage ya, pembajakan pertama. Okay, the first one is to create seedbed by breaking and pulverize the soil. Kita nak pecahkan tanah. Okay, kemudian to destroy weed and other unwanted vegetation, to partially or completely bury crop residue. Crop residue merujuk kepada tanaman sebelum itu. Contohnya, katalah sebelum itu lalang, ada weeds, imperata. So apabila kita buat slushing, weed itu akan mati dan dibiarkan di ladang, di petak tanaman. So bila kita plow, dia akan hancur dan mix up dengan tanah. Okay, manure, and to incorporate or mix the material into the soil, to mix and incorporate lime. Okay, sometimes tanah yang kita dapat itu tidak subur, it's not fertile, low fertility, probably because of too acidic. Jadi what we can do, kita boleh letak lime ataupun kapur. Kita boleh letak kapur ataupun lime. Ini mesin yang digunakan untuk liming. Kita panggil liming untuk letak kapur, kalsium so that dia punya pH tu akan naik supaya tanah tu jadi neutral, fertilizer and other additive. Ini contohnya mesin untuk chicken dung, untuk tahi ayam. Tinja, we call it tinja ayam, chicken dung. Kita ada, this is for my lab, this is for my lab. So at one time when we start opening the area, we go for liming, we also go for chicken dung, for organic fertilizer. Okay. And then to control or destroy insect, their eggs, larvae, and breeding places, to loosen the soil for better aeration and water retention, and also to reduce wind and water erosion by leaving a rough surface exposed to those elements. Okay, this is the objective of primary tillage. Okay. Then this is an objective for a secondary tillage. Tillage that follow primary tillage. The first is to develop seedbed by pulverizing soil clod. Okay, so primary tillage dia akan menyediakan soil clod, soil chunk ataupun ketulan tanah. So secondary tillage dia akan pecahkan ketulan tanah ini kepada granular size, kepada tanah yang lebih halus, lebih kecil. And then to firm topsoil for better moisture movement, to aid seed germination, and then to cut up crop residue, and then to conserve moisture, and also to destroy or control weeds. Okay, lalang. This is very kita punya ni. Okay, so once done, we have done land preparation, we have done land clearing. Next is kita go for cultivation. Okay, ini machine. This is a machine. This is the implement that I have in my lab for, we call it inter-row cultivation machine. Okay, what is cultivation? It's a shallow tillage, okay, operation that is done after the planted seed has germinated. Okay, you tengok this is a row. Okay, this is a row. So batas ya. Di atas batas ini on the ridge adalah pokok jagung. Okay, this is pokok jagung. Kemudian in between pokok jagung ini, di punya furrow ni ada lalang. Okay, ada weed. So this machine kita guna untuk kita bunuh, to kill lalang yang tumbuh di antara pokok jagung. That's why we call it inter-row cultivation system. Okay, so the operation is carried out on the surface soil between plant row. This is plant row. Okay, this is a plant row. Yang batas ini is a plant row. Yang ni in between. Jadi what this machine does is to remove weed in between ni. Okay, destroying available weeds, improving soil condition to promote plant growth, and sometimes for incorporating fertilizers and pesticide along the plant. So at the same time, you see this is tank. Ada dua tank. Ini untuk baja, untuk fertilizer. Okay, so while they are doing cultivation, they can this machine also can drop fertilizer. Okay, the machine dig and stir the soil at shallow depth and generally loosen the soil surface. So surface vegetation is left largely on the surface with little or no mixing. Okay, so this machine comes with various type of tools, including shower, spike, disc blade, and etc. So di sini kalau kita buka tengok dia macam rotovator lah. Dia ada spike, spike type yang untuk nak kill the weed. Alright. Okay, for tillage, actually there are many terminology because not everywhere, not every place in the world require tillage. So tillage is only needed for compacted soil. Tapi if you want to grow your crop in tanah gambut ataupun tanah yang telah gembur, yang tidak padat, so actually you don't need to do tillage, because the purpose of tillage is to break the soil to make it loose. Tanah yang gembur. Kalau tanahnya sudah gembur, maka kita tidak perlu lakukan tillage. Why we have to do tillage? Kan? Because if we do tillage, it comes with cost, fuel dan sebagainya. Okay, so the best thing for conservation, we go for no-till. Maknanya a system where crops are grown in a narrow slot, like a batas, like a row, where soil disturbance is limited to that required for placement of seed and fertilizer and for clearing of residue. Meaning that if you look at our current technology, when we do plowing, dia akan plow the whole area. Betul tak? So kalau 1 hektar kawasan, dia akan plow the whole area, 1 hectare. All soil will be disturbed. Tapi if you go for no-till, dia tak buat macam tu. Maknanya dia buat tillage pada barisan, pada row yang kita nak letak benih sahaja. That is no-till system. So dia conserve energy dan juga conserve environmental. Alright, and then reduce cost lah for fuel and machinery cost. Okay, keadaan nombor 2, second condition, we call it minimum tillage. The minimum tillage refers to the least soil manipulation necessary for crop production or for meeting tillage requirement under existing soil condition. Ia juga dipanggil reduced tillage, conservation tillage or strip tillage. The same thing with no tillage, cuma kita kalau no till tadi we do not plow except for the line, for the area where we want to put crop. But for minimum tillage, it should be bigger than that. Tapi still, kita tak plow the whole area. Okay, reduced tillage refer to any tillage or seeding system that maintain 15 to 30% of residue cover. Maknanya kita cuma plow 70% daripada kawasan penanaman. Kalau kita ada 1 hektar, maknanya 30% daripada 1 hektar itu masih kita biarkan, we keep the vegetation, original vegetation. Okay, and then conservation tillage, it goes to, it's about percentage lah. Kalau tadi up to 30%, conservation ni is bila dia punya area yang undisturbed tu is about 30% and above. Okay, strip tillage is about 1/3. 1/3 maknanya 20-30%, 1/3 of the row width, and then combine. This is another option. Kan tadi kita cakap, we thought that we have a primary tillage, we have a secondary tillage, 2 different operation, but under combined tillage operation, these 2 becomes 1. Meaning, in my lab ada satu alat di mana 1 implement, tapi dia boleh perform both operation. Okay, first dia akan buat this plow, dia akan balikkan tanah, and then at the same time rotavator ada di belakangnya. So by pulling by 1 tractor, 2 operation are done continuously. Okay, dia uproot the soil, and then at the same time rotor di belakang akan terus hancurkan ketulan tanah tersebut. So what is the advantage of minimum tillage? Reduce cost of fuel and labor, and then conserve moisture and reduce soil erosion, perform only necessary operation to optimize soil condition, and also reduce soil compaction. When we use less tractor, meaning the soil exposed to less or fewer soil compaction. Then hard pan, okay? When we talk about soil compaction, the thing is the soil will be compacted and then will form hard pan. Okay, what is hard pan? Hard pan ni kalau yang bawah ni, kawasan dipanggil kawasan hard pan, tanah keras ya. The compacted soil layer below the soil surface created by continuous tillage at the same depth. This problem can be created by using a subsoiler. This is hard pan. Okay, hard pan adalah lapisan keras yang terbentuk disebabkan oleh heavy machinery. Okay, jadi apa masalah dengan hard pan? Dia akan menyebabkan water lodge, air bertakung, water lodge. Jadi bila hujan, air bertakung kerana air hujan tidak boleh penetrate into lower layer. So how to fix that problem? Kita kena pecahkan hard pan ini dengan subsoiler. Okay, this is how. Okay, this is small bore plow implement can be used for primary tillage. Okay, small bore plow mostly commonly is a primary tillage equipment. Its function is to cut the furrow slice. This is how they work. Okay, you see, this is what I mean by soil chunk. Ni tanah clog, dipanggil ketulan tanah. Okay, this is bone board plow. Dia akan balikkan tanah. So ini yang besar lagi ya. So bila kita lalu dengan rotavator, so tanah yang besar ni akan jadi hancur. Dia akan jadi debu, it will be granular. Okay. So kedalaman working depth for this implement is between 20 to 30 cm. Then the width of plowshare, lebar daripada sini ke sini, ni lebar ni dalam 20 ke 30 cm. So you can see how much draft is needed to pull the implement. Okay, ini this plow. Ni yang commonly we have, and I have this. I use this for my amali, for my lab. So this plow has inclined disc. Dia ada disc blade which does not cut. Dia tidak potong, invert or pulverize the soil as deeply as small bore plow. So it is more suitable for condition under which small bore plow do not work satisfactorily, especially for sticky soil. Sticky soil mean tanah sawah untuk padi, tanah liat, tanah clay. So dia punya kedalaman juga boleh sampai 30 cm. Okay, this is chisel plow. Chisel plow is to break the soil as well. Chisel plow is used to open the soil deeply without turning it over. So dia macam pecahkan dia punya hard pan. So chisel plow similar to reaper and has a working depth more or less equal to conventional plowing depth. So recommended after 3 years to break the established hard pan again. So we can use this implement untuk kita pecahkan hard pan so that we can avoid waterlogging problem, masalah air bertakung dalam kawasan ladang. Okay, this is subsoiler again. This is very deep. Yang ini kita guna untuk pecahkan hard pan supaya air tidak bertakung. Subsoiler is a form of chisel plow designed to penetrate to greater depth. So this implement can penetrate to 50 cm. You see, it's very deep. Kalau this plow only 30 cm, yang ni boleh masuk ni, dia punya kedalaman ya, mata ni can go into the soil up to 50 cm, half meter. Okay, to loosen deep soil layers and promote water movement and root growth. This is when the soil is too compacted, so we can use this implement to loosen the soil structure. But because it goes very deep, it requires a lot of horsepower, a lot of power of the tractor. Usable horsepower from the tractor is needed to pull one shank of a subsoiler at depth of 50 cm. In heavy soil. Heavy soil means clay soil. Menuju pada clay. This is rotavator. This is a very common implement for rice cultivation as well as for, in my case, for corn cultivation. Rotavator or rotary plow can be used both as primary and secondary tillage. Dia punya mata ni, cutter blade ni, dia ada L, dia ada C. So kalau you tengok yang ni, this is C, this is C. C shape, ada L shape. So it can be used for fine seedbed preparation because this is high RPM, rotation at high RPM. You tengok tanah yang dia usahakan tu akan jadi hancur, like debu lah, very granular size. So the depth does not exceed 20 cm. Selalunya is about 10 cm kedalaman. And this is this harrow. Sama juga dengan this plow. It is used for primary tillage, to pulverize the soil, break clods. Clods ni mana ketulan, kan, ketulan tanah, tanah yang berketul. And then tillage depth is about 50 to 20 cm. Springtime, this is not common in Malaysia, in Indonesia as well, because this is more suitable for light soil. Light soil means sandy loam. Yang for Europe, European country is very suitable. Spike tooth, yang ni, spike tooth ni harrow is used to pulverize cloddy soil in a friable state, break soil crust. Ini merujuk kepada tanah sawah yang kering, kita panggil keras, maknanya kerak tanah. Have you seen that? If you go to kawasan yang berpaya, selepas dia dry, kan, tanah tu dia akan jadi macam ni, sekeping kan, it's a plate. Jadi kalau kita nak pecahkan plate ni, kita boleh guna spike tooth harrow. So bila spike tooth harrow lalu, dia punya kepingannya akan pecah. Okay, roller and packer is also to pecah, to crush, to break the crust. And then rotary hoe, this is for also to mix up the soil. Okay. Ridger and lisser. Ridger and lisser ni adalah untuk ni, kita panggil untuk membina batas. Okay, this is batas, this is ridge, this is furrow. Furrow ialah alur di antara batas. So you tengok ini batas untuk tanam tanaman, ini adalah alur, faro untuk laluan air. Okay. Interrow cultivator, this is what kita guna untuk bunuh. Okay, this is pokok, ini pokok yang ditanam. And then this is kita panggil interrow space. Selalunya lalang akan tumbuh di sini. So with this machine, kita akan buang lalang-lalang which unwanted vegetation in between these two rows. Okay. Okay, just nice. So we are done with that. For land clearing, land preparation, and also cultivation, we got 4 minutes left. Is there any question for this topic? You are welcome to ask if you have any question for this topic.
Sir, excuse me, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
In several provinces in Indonesia, there are still many who clear a field using burning. From your own perspective, what this is like?
Burning, yeah?
Yes, sir, burning.
Okay, so the question is what? What is the question?
Your own perspective.
Perspective?
Yes.
Okay. Burning, I think sooner or later, your country also will ban open burning, because that is not good for environmental. It will produce carbon. It is not good. So what you can do, you can talk to farmers, or you as an engineers, you can come up with a new idea. Okay, the first thing I want to know, that burning refer to what? Rice or another crop?
Yes, sir.
Tanaman apa?
Usually in the forest.
Oh, forest. Okay, so if you talk about forest, okay, it is not allowed. But what we can do instead of burning, we have to keep that. For example, for padi, they have padi kan lepas kita tuai, after harvesting, dia ada straw, right? So that straw is actually we call it can be processed. Can be processed to be animal feed, can be a bedding, tempat tidur makan binatang, dan juga can be converted into furniture. You see that, and we need a technology for that. But in Malaysia, we no longer burn padi raw straw tu, tapi kita beli. Dah ada satu perusahaan, company, apabila selepas tuai mereka akan ambil, they will buy from farmers all those kita panggil crop residue to be processed, either as animal feed ataupun sebagai bedding untuk stable. Kan untuk kandang kuda, kandang lembu, dia ada tilam dia, made from jerami. So if you talk about forest, what happen di Malaysia, when you talk about replanting, what they do, they only chop. Dia only potong, tumbangkan pokok-pokok itu, then they chopping into smaller size, then they leave it. They leave it in the field until dia decompose. Dia akan jadi organic fertilizer to the next crop. If you talk about forest, hutan, what happen, selalunya dia tak bakar juga, dia akan ambil. Kayu-kayu itu akan diambil untuk dijadikan perabot. Kan? Manakala untuk smallest macam twig, dahan, ranting tu akan diambil untuk dijadikan kayu api, bahan bakar. Maknanya dia means we do not put fire direct in the forest, because it will cause bushfire. But we pick up everything for different purposes. So you can propose, or you can build your own company lah. If later ada orang nak bersihkan hutan, you can offer your service where kayu digunakan untuk furniture, untuk bridge, untuk whatever, and then all the leaf and etc. Can be converted to be we call it biogas, untuk jadi kayu api. Okay, alright. So any more questions? No more, yeah. Okay, I think it's 11 a.m. already. Then we have to stop because you may have another class. So thank you very much for your time. Hope to see you again next week. Okay. So okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum dan selamat pagi.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, sir.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you.
You're welcome.